there's some statistics like 53% of Gen Z buyers are purchasing homes alone. If you're in that Gen Z bucket and you're thinking of buying by yourself, but you're scared of the whole, I talked to a lady yesterday who's in that bucket and she's very scared of buying by herself. You have to have people on your side that hold your hand.
So when you say buy alone, you mean as a
Single person.
solo consumer, not as a part of a
Right.
partnership.
No pressure.
Howdy, it's Pete.
And I'm Mark, and we're the Real Estate Dream Team.
Oh my gosh, Mark, why the heck should they listen to yet another real estate podcast? Well, I will share my why, and that is we'd love to tell you how to get those keys the smart way.
And help you crank those gears that turn your dreams into homes.
There you go. Let's roll,
Let's
baby.
roll, baby. We're here to kind of show you the behind the scenes of real estate. Today, we're going to talk about, are you a smart buyer or are you a point and click nonstop shopping buyer? So
Right.
let's dive into what is the difference between a smart buyer and a point and click buyer. What we mean is a point and click buyer, somebody who's constantly on Zillow, liking things, saving things, but never actually pulls the trigger, right? And they're just procrastinating and keep going and keep going.
Ooh, okay.
And
Yes, I'll go with you on that. But
Right.
also in my head, point and click is someone that just accepts the spoon-fed information from online resources.
right, that's point and click, finding your answers, finding the wrong answers, and then procrastinating instead of being a smart shopper.
Mhm.
And what do we mean by smart shopper?
Informed, educated,
Informed, and how do you get
self-educated,
informed, right?
ask questions.
Right.
Yeah, I would say the smartest buyers are those that maybe use Zillow as a curiosity creator influence,
Yeah.
but not a like
I think
mantra or
think somebody-
whatever the word is.
I think people have gotten the misconception of using the online websites like Zillow or even Realtor.com as a form of shopping, but it really isn't. In my view, it's not really shopping. You're just looking at eye candy.
It's like active dreaming. Like,
Right. It's
click.
like dreaming. It's like
Everybody's got their
window shopping.
travel bucket list. Is it
Right.
you mean like a home bucket
It's
list?
kind of like when you walk past the stores wishing you could buy something and you can't,
Mhm.
or you think you can't. And that's where I come from in terms of being a smart buyer versus
Think
a
you
point and click
can't.
buyer.
Right. Never
So
assume.
if you're walking past the Gucci store and
Right.
thinking to yourself, I can't afford that, not realizing they have a sale on right now, plus they have financing, you could possibly afford it, or it's costing less than you think.
Mhm. So smart buyer is also an informed buyer.
Right. And that's kind of, to me, there are a lot of people out there that I talk to that come to me and say, I didn't realize it was this easy. I didn't realize this existed. I didn't realize I could do that.
That you
know?
didn't need 20%
20%
down to buy a
right,
house. That's probably
right.
the number
Yeah,
one.
even in this day and age,
That's
it
almost like a pivot point when
blows
you
me.
go from a point and click buyer to a smart buyer is when you discover the truth, which is you don't need 20% to buy a house.
And why do people not make that leap? In my experience, I don't know about you, but a lot of people come to me and say, we didn't want to waste your time. We didn't want to reach out to a professional and ask questions because we felt like we assumed we weren't ready. And that's what I get most often is people are surprised how ready they are to buy a house because in their own mind, looking on Zillow, looking online for answers, they came up with the wrong answers that told them they weren't ready.
Right.
It's like finding the cure for cancer online, right? You can find the cure for cancer, but if you don't talk to a professional, a doctor truly that can dissect the information for you, you're probably never going to get cured, right?
Well, everybody's situation is different.
Right.
Right. So you get the 30,000 level guidelines, but then you are you. Your
Yeah.
situation is
And your
is-
state is, every state's different. It's just, there's so many ins and outs that you literally cannot figure it out yourself.
no.
It's too complicated for that.
Well, and do you want it to be a full-time job?
No.
Like, really?
And shopping for, I'll give you an example. So, this couple that Bess and I worked with recently, Ernesto and Jamie, they decided how long ago they wanted to buy a house. Not long ago.
Well, what's interesting is, it's funny you should mention that, is that they first thought about it in 2019.
Right. No, and yeah.
And then Crazy Town hit,
Yes.
pandemia,
Yeah.
and they talked themselves out of it because
right.
all their friends were telling them, how crazy it was. And then Ernesto shared with me, he's like, now we're looking at the same neighborhoods we were looking at in 2019. And even the crazy prices that our friends said that they were having to pay
Right.
back then in those same neighborhoods seem cheaper than what houses are right now,
So
6 years later.
so it's but
Yeah.
they came to the market because they had to. They need to buy a house.
Yes.
And
Yes.
and they when I first talked to them, they said, "Can it be done in this time frame?" And I said, "If you're working with a professional real estate agent, it can be done." And they didn't believe me.
Right.
And here we are, less than 2 weeks later, they're under contract on a house. And I can tell you that same story all over again
Mhm.
from this week's closing, same kind of scenario where
Well,
they
and
had to
that's
be out.
and let's distill it down to the nitty-gritty, and going back to our other point, which is there's high level view, and then there's the Texas view, and then there's even the more local
Right.
view. And that is many states in the country, it does take 45, 60, or 90 days to close. Texas is blessed, and as we're a buyer-centric state, we're buyer-forward state,
Yep.
and so you can actually snag keys depending on who your lending partner is.
Right.
But
Makes a
you can
difference.
but you can snag keys 45 days or less. I mean, Mark's one of Mark's superpowers, actually. I was
Thank you.
talking to one of our buyers this morning, was that he can sometimes he and his team, when they're on point, and depending on other things too,
Right.
can get closed within 17 days,
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
which
That's
blew
I
their
mean,
mind. They
we
were
we
pretty
we
excited because I
can
was like,
we
"We
can
can use that as a negotiation tool.
right.
Just,
And
hey, this house is
but
vacant."
these my point is that these people previous to talking to me and talking to real estate agents assumed that they could not get things done in 2 months, 3 months,
Mhm.
4 months.
Mhm.
They assumed it would take 5, 6 months.
Mhm.
I had another couple that just closed on Tuesday. They came to me about a month ago on the middle of last month. We're at the end of this current month, but less than 60 days ago, they came to me. They said, our rental home, our landlord just told us we have to be out in less than a month. And we talked to two other lenders because we figured we need to figure out, can we buy a house? They told us no. Our real estate agent said, go talk to Mark. They talked to me. I said, the other lenders told him their credit score is too low. They don't have enough cash to close, and it can't be done that quickly. And I said to them, let me do one piece of due diligence. Let me check on your credit and see if we can get this repaired. My credit expert told me, yes, we can. I said, get with your real estate agent to see, can we put this into high gear and find us a house?
Fabulous.
And so then 14 days later, yeah, 14 days later, we had closing. I mean, literally, they were in a house in less than a month
That's
from
fantastic.
starting the process to the end. And they said to me that we didn't believe it was possible. Everybody told us it was
Mhm.
impossible. And they assumed they had to sign another lease somewhere and waste another year of renting. Instead, them and their 5 kids are living in a house today, right? So that's my point is they were point and click buyers all along. They wanted to buy a house and they kept looking, but they kept getting discouraged by the information they
So they
found
kept
online.
dreaming, but not
Right.
educating themselves.
Exactly. They assumed what they were reading was true. They assumed what other people were telling them was true.
Mhm.
And instead of
And it might be true for other people, but until you
maybe
discover on your own what applies to you, you
I
don't
have
know.
I have very few instances where people have come to me and said, where I had to tell them what you're trying to do is impossible. Very few. If your credit score is 480, yes, it's not possible.
Today.
Okay.
Today.
Today, you just need to work on it, bring it up, and I have people that can help you with that, and then it's possible.
Mhm.
I've had people who said to me, "We need to buy and sell within 3 months." We just had that,
Mhm. Mhm.
Chris and Amanda.
Mhm. And it can be done.
Literally in 2 months, they had sold their house thanks to Bess's magic, and Bess found them another house, and all in 2 months. They were
Mhm.
moved into their new house from start to finish, from starting the process. They came to me and said, "We feel like this is not possible. We feel like we need to rent or we
Mhm.
need to, do something else because we don't think our time frame is
Mhm.
gonna
But
pan out."
preparation, communication,
Right,
transparency, those equal a rapid transaction if needed.
right.
I mean, we can definitely adjust it to whatever
And
people need.
there's another piece to this, which is, that
And that's part of being an educated buyer.
the
Yeah.
the Zillow fatigue, people also get, fatigued by keep shopping online
Mhm.
and feeling like they're not able to buy, right?
Mhm.
They're also emotionally buying. A lot of people are, falling in love with properties, before they know that they're ready. That
Or if
discourages
it's
them.
something that really fits their budget.
Right. That's what I mean. I mean,
Yeah.
they're not prepared to go shopping, yet they're shopping.
Yeah.
Okay. And then they get emotionally discouraged by the
Mhm.
whole thing.
Well, those are those buzzy phrases you found that are trending right now. I love it.
Yes.
Yes.
Pre-qual confusion,
We all come across that.
yes.
So
And
pre-qualification
yes,
is pre-approval.
pre-approval. So there's
That's two different things,
two
right?
different things, pre-qualification and pre-approval. Pre-qualification is if you called me and said, "Hey, Mark, my credit score is 800. I make 150,000 a year. My debt is, I have one credit card and I pay it off every month. I have no other debts and I have X dollars in the bank." And then I take a paper napkin and I do some calculations and I tell you you can afford X dollars in house.
And that
That's
is
a pre-qual.
pre-qualification.
That's a
I
pre-qualification.
share with my buyers, correct me, share a pre-qualification and with my sellers. A pre-qualification is essentially a gentleman's handshake. There's no proof behind it.
No.
It's just your word and my word saying, "Oh yeah,
And
you're."
it can take the form of you filled out an application online. You
Mhm,
went through the whole process of filling everything in. And at the end, it gives you an immediate response that says, "Oh, you're qualified for X dollars."
mhm,
That's a pre-qualification. If whoever you're working with asks you for your pay stubs, asks you to pull your credit, asks to see your bank statements, where's the money coming from? If those three things are asked for and provided, and the lender then has the time to review those documents and verify them in writing, then it becomes a pre-approval. At that point, you're pre-approved. You're actually, if you're working with a lender that knows what they're doing, you will be ready to buy a house. Now, I've come across multiple people have come to me because their lender dropped the ball and didn't pre-approve them correctly. And so that put them
mhm.
in dire straits because they were under contract. So I had to find
And there are
lenders,
performance penalties if
right?
you're under contract as a
And you
buyer
can't
and
perform.
you do not move forward.
Yeah, so I had to
Mhm,
find lenders that could work with that scenario and get them out of that hot water. But that's the difference between pre-qualification and pre-approval. And obviously, buyers don't do this every day. They don't buy houses every day, so they don't understand the difference. But again, educate
mhm.
yourself and
Well,
be aware.
and that right there, the differentiation between pre-qualified and pre-approved is not really a sexy YouTube video or a Zillow topic or
Would
whatever.
you?
That's like a nitty-gritty. That's a gear to buying a house that people don't really like to talk about, but it's a
No,
key part.
not sexy.
Key part. No, it's not.
It's tedious.
Yeah.
Which brings me to my next point is that people, Gen Z, millennials, a lot of them end up buying, you know, through social media, so to speak, and they land with the wrong professional. They land with professionals or with realtors and lenders who are good at marketing themselves, but really not good at the process,
Mm,
not good at holding your hand, not good at communicating, not good at doing the actual work it takes to get to,
mhm,
own your home. And the, social media has its place, but don't use it as
mhm.
to get emotionally hooked to something,
Uh,
you
so
know.
you're circling back to being a buyer and being a smart buyer.
Yes,
That's
that's what I
another
mean. The point and
differentiator.
click buyer is who keeps, window shopping on social media,
And
seeing
says,
all these
"I'll
people
take
do
that agent or that house or that whatever,"
right.
instead of
And
deep diving into the
yeah,
nitty-gritty,
and
the gears behind it.
and younger, there's some statistics like 53% of Gen Z buyers are purchasing homes alone. So if you're in that Gen Z bucket and you're thinking of buying by yourself, but you're scared of the whole, I talked to a lady yesterday who's in that bucket and she's very scared of buying by herself, and you have to have people on your side that hold your hand, explain things, that's really
Mhm.
important.
So when
It,
you say buy alone, you mean as a
single person.
solo consumer, not as a part of a
Right.
partnership.
71% of younger millennials, 24 to 32, are first time home buyers, and they're actually very active online. And I think they fall into that constant shopping mode without pulling the trigger. And I know friends of mine who have kids that age and they're literally doing it. And I keep telling their parents, go talk to them, to come talk to me and actually get facts, because what they're telling you is just not true. And
Or may not apply to Texas
it
or
may not
whatever.
apply, or,
Yeah.
what, it's not true. 21% first time home buyers only represent 21% of all sales. It's the smallest since 1981. And I want
Mhm.
to change that,
Mhm.
because it's really, that's where your wealth starts building, is when you
Mhm.
start owning a house.
Because you have to pay to live somewhere.
Right.
So why not pay yourself?
It's forced savings, and the appreciation has a compounding effect
Mm.
that you can then use to ladder up from the $300,000 house to the $500,000 house years later, then from the 500 to the 700, right? And all of a sudden you find yourself in $1 million house, and that's when you retire. And all of a sudden that house is now worth 2 million, not 1 million. Guess where your retirement money came from?
Or a good chunk of it at the very
Good chunk
least.
of it,
Yeah.
right? So,
It's money that did not go to somebody else's retirement, which is
right.
what
Not paying the
that
landlord's
which when
retirement.
while you're a tenant, that's what that is you're paying for somebody else's retirement.
And, part of this is also that people are not educating themselves as to, I come across this frequently where people say, I just feel like Dallas is unaffordable, or Austin. Since I do mortgage I have people coming to me from Houston, and not so much Houston. Houston, actually, people are saying I can afford it. For some reason, most of the conversations around affordability come from Austin and Dallas. And my response to that is, you're just not working with the right realtor. You're not working with the right real estate professional. You got to find a better person to work with, somebody that really knows the neighborhoods, the different areas where you could buy, given your price
Mhm.
point, but also somebody who can help you understand what you really want and what you really need. And those two things usually don't really coincide. So you really got to do, especially on your first house, you got to go with what you need, not with what you want. And
But the likes are nice. Likes are
people have,
bonuses.
we all have champagne taste and beer budgets.
Absolutely.
Even if
Life
you're
is
buying a
boring
million
otherwise.
dollar house, I
Right.
mean, we just went through that on a purchase where people had $1 million budget and they were still complaining about all kinds of things, but being mindful of that, it
Mhm.
takes a professional to drag that out of you and really get to the bottom line because otherwise you're not going to find a house.
Right. It's not home finding, it's home touring, and home touring
You
doesn't
get
get you anywhere.
fatigued,
You get fatigued. You
right?
get
So
fatigued.
how do
Yeah.
you get that out of buyers? How do you make them understand, here's what you need versus here's what you want?
So
And
how do we shift from
yeah,
the
like,
initial, we know
what do you see
everything,
most often as
point and
being
click,
the
buyer into
disconnect?
a smart,
Like
discerning buyer?
what areas are they wanting that they have to let go of? What's most of the time, what are they?
Well, every home decision is based on just 3 factors,
Okay.
and it's a balance. Finding that balance of those 3 for you as a buyer is part of my, at least that's part of my process with my people, is helping them discern where their happy place is.
Mhm.
And those 3 items are price, location, and condition.
Okay.
And condition, what is condition best? Well, condition is, does it match all your Pinterest pages that you saved? Sure, that's condition. But condition also is age.
Yeah.
And it's how much you deep dive into each one of those parts, condition, location, price, that kind of figures out where your happy place is.
So back to condition though. So what you're saying is the way you want to live in that house, the condition of the house has an influence over that. So let's take the example. Another buyer we're working with really wants a gas cooktop
Mm.
instead of electric.
Right.
But in their price range in the neighborhoods, they're looking in, most of the homes are electric
Mhm.
cooktops and not
Mhm.
gas. So is that something he has to let go of, right, in order to make his
Right.
dream
So
happen?
we're working through that. So, and that's
Right.
where, right now because price is a strong driver
That's right.
because this is their first home.
It's the first step.
So we're talking about, well, if we get it at this price, then we can retrofit the standard electric coil with an induction, which
Right.
is electric superpower
Right.
answer to a gas cooktop.
Right.
They both operate very similar or affect
Much more
cooking
controllable.
to
Yeah.
a very similar fashion.
Right.
Exactly.
Control.
The cook temp is much
Yeah.
more controllable with an induction. And that is definitely a solution if we get it for the right price.
Right.
And how do you determine if it's the right price? Well, location comes into it.
Right.
And that is, it can be a fantastic Pinterest perfect house at a fantastic price, but it backs up to a shopping center. And if that doesn't work for you on your in your life, as far as the mental of, some
Mhm.
people like the backing up to a shopping center
Right.
because generally it's quiet. Like you get
There's
a delivery
nobody.
truck
Yeah.
once a week, and
Right.
otherwise you have a quiet neighbor. So for them,
Whatever
that
floats your
location
boat.
would right. So for other people, their location, it needs to be on a cul-de-sac. It needs to be across from a school. Needs to be near a fire station because of the urban legend that if you're near a fire station, your electricity never goes out
Or
or
the
whatever.
or the location is not, uh, in the range where you want it to be in terms of where your workplace is, or where
Commute,
your children wanna
commute.
be, or
Mhm,
where, there's other things to location too, besides just the value of the house being affected by backing up to the shopping center, which is
mhm.
something you need to know going in, because when you sell it, your value will be affected by that fact. But living
Very
across
true.
the street
That's
from
a
a
whole
school,
nother podcast because
it's right.
also quality of school affects value,
That's
and
right.
down the rabbit hole we go.
Exactly. So locate. So
Mm,
that's so
mhm,
condition. Also, you need to be aware of the fact that when you buy certain age homes or certain neighborhoods, you got to be aware of the condition of the home, meaning moving forward, what kind of repairs are coming your way? What kind of things do you need to improve upon to make the value of the home go up? You need to know that going in. So again, a realtor is going to be able to help you with that and really help you understand that. So back to price, obviously needs to be within your budget, which
mhm,
is usually your monthly payment is where you
mhm.
want to be. I do need to, you know, tax values, which is a big part of your monthly payment is your property taxes. The same address, I mean, the same house, type of house on the same street, two different houses will have two different numbers, right?
Correct.
So
Correct,
that's
because you find out that 5 years ago, a tornado hit through the neighborhood, and it skipped this house, but it
right,
hit these 5 houses.
right.
So these 5 houses now have a notice, because there is such a thing as a clue report,
That you mean insurance. I was talking
insurance,
property
but
taxes.
property taxes too,
Property
yeah.
tax is just a valuation of the same street will have wildly different values on each
Mhm,
house,
mhm.
because the tax assessor, I don't know how they do it. It's very happenstance to me, but I had a neighbor next door to me who had the exact same house as me because they were all built in the same time. And his was literally $150,000 less in value than mine.
He must not have mowed his yard
Yeah, yeah.
the
Who
day
knows
that
what they,
the
no.
drive-by tax appraiser drove
I
by.
went down and fight it, and the taxing authority basically told me, "Well, he's owned the house longer, and we just have grandfathered his value in that
That sounds right, yeah.
and I was like, "Well, how's that fair? It's this
Mhm. Sounds very
exact same
California.
condition,
Sounds
and
very California.
so that goes to show you same square footage and everything, same
Mhm,
lot size, everything was exactly the same, and I was like, "How can I pay more in taxes than he does?" But it just goes to show you that, again, when you don't work with a good professional, you may be misreading how much it's gonna cost you,
mhm,
right? Or how little it's gonna cost you.
mhm.
People overestimate these things in their heads and say, "Well, I can't afford that," without having actual facts, right? So, getting to the bottom of what's important in terms of you got to have your price figured out, right? Then location is the next big one,
Right?
right? And then I would say condition is probably last, wouldn't you say? Or is it the other way around? Is it
Well, everybody's
condition?
priorities are different, but
Right,
yes, generally 30,000 level view, location and price,
right,
yeah,
right.
kinda
So
drive the
first,
boat.
right. And then condition after.
But in those
You kind of
yeah.
have to accept, given your price range and the location you're looking in, you kind of have to accept the general condition of the houses in that neighborhood, right?
Yes, yes.
And
Those are
that's where the
3
trade-offs come in.
smart buyer, home qualifiers.
Right.
That's it
So
in a
you have to be
nutshell.
flexible, right? In terms of your wants have to be more flexible, focus on your needs, especially if it's your first house, and your wants will come later. That's for the second, third house. If you're buying your second or third house, then wants can be, equal to needs. You kind of want to find a better balance on that. Again, people also have the misconception of, and we've talked about this in previous podcasts, but misconception of I'm going to live here forever.
Mhm.
And I don't know about you, but in my 30 years in real estate, I've heard that and I laugh every time to myself when I hear that, because those same people will call me in 5 to 7 years saying, I want to move.
Well, it's a worthy aspirational goal, but it's
No,
the fact is
yes,
the
the
world comes and
reality.
finds you and says you've got to move, and that's just how it goes. We've got to move on from this episode.
All right. So to wrap it up, Bess, let's talk steps that people can take. We know that you're probably a point and click buyer at this point and not somebody who's actually shopping,
Well, that's why you stopped
you know.
to listen.
But
Yes.
how do we get to that place? On the finance side, I'll do that one first because that's kind of where it starts. You got to have
Mhm.
a budget in mind, right? What are you
For sure.
comfortable with on a monthly basis? What does that payment look like? Do I even qualify for that?
Right.
That's your first step. So getting pre-approved is step number one. And you don't get pre-approved by some no-name online whatever. Talk to your friends who's gone through this process. See if they like somebody. Call me. Whatever you want to work with a seasoned professional that has a reputation
Hmm.
and not some point and click online, give me an answer quick
Or a commercial
scheme.
from a Super Bowl or something.
Right. That is not a good way to do it because I've seen that go
Not the
wrong
ideal. Yeah.
many, many times. So talk to your friends, talk to your family, talk to other professionals in real estate, for example. Your realtor would be a great referral source for who's a good lender in your vicinity. On the real estate side, what are the steps involved to move away from point and click to actually making a
To
plan
break
to
the
buy,
habit of
to be a
pointing and
smart
clicking
buyer?
and to start the habit of moving forward, the keys, number one would be start getting off the sofa and getting out the door
Yes.
and going to open houses. As of August 2024, open house is really the only time that you can legally go into a house without having a committed relationship.
An
Boy, we're talking
agent.
about dating apps nowadays, baby. But as of August 2024, it's the only time that you can walk into a house without a committed relationship with a real estate professional. That's the fact, Jack.
See, that
So
that's the only way to
get
physically,
right.
shop for a house.
And
Yeah.
why do I want you? Why does Mark want you to get off the sofa and go walk into a house? Because a picture is worth 1,000 words, but a in-person smell, sniff, I said this twice, sniff, see, taste,
Feel.
feel a house is worth 1,001 and 10 and million more words. It really tells you
There's
what's
no
going
substitute
on.
for it. There's no
Mhm.
substitute.
I recently was walking through a home with a buyer, and he said, "This, I don't even know why you took me to go see these other homes because I already know this is the house." It was a point and click house,
Yeah. Uh-huh.
and we walked through. The house screened. The plumbing and the foundation has failed.
Right.
The weeping willow was the first tell in the front yard.
Yeah.
A whole nother just
So
another
so
rabbit hole to go down. But anyway, all that to
clearly
say,
not the house.
clearly not the house. The point and click said it was. The reality of walking through said it was not. But that's the value of an open house. The other win for you, point and click consumer, is if you walk into an open house, you get an opportunity to just chat, frankly, with agents and often lenders that are there with agents to talk about the process and kind of vet them and hear their perspective. It kind of think of it as like a short term, like a 30-second speed date.
Yeah.
Because again, to actually look through homes with in person without being in a contractual agreement with a real estate professional, you can only do that during an open house. So to protect yourself as a point and click consumer when selecting your real estate professional, it's really good to go on a few speed dates, i.e. open houses, and talk to a few.
But the faster you start working with a real estate professional, the better. Because if you go to too many open houses, you're going to get tired.
Fatigue, for
Fatigue
sure.
because you're looking maybe in the wrong place or you're looking at the
Right?
wrong. So working with a professional on both levels, lending and real estate will get you from point and click to a smart buyer to owning a house much, much faster than if you try to do it all yourself.
Mhm.
So point and click is doing it yourself. That's not going to work. So be a smart buyer, hire, so to speak, hire the professional team that gets you into the door, that gets you the keys to your home. All right. So follow us, like, subscribe, get off the couch, reach out to us, and we'll get you there. Right. So come join us next
Just
time. And
another
we look forward to it.